welcome to another community conversation. First of all, let me introduce myself. My name is Claire, and I want to invite you to join us for the next hour as we go and have some interesting conversation with some of these members that sit right next to you. First of all, let me just say thank you for joining us once again. You could be doing anything else. I know this is your Sunday evening, but you chose to be with us right here, right now. So let me just say thank you for being a part. And go right on right now, and you can go ahead and invite someone, share the link, let them know that People's Cathedral is on Community Conversations, and we have something very special in store for you this evening. The month of September is recognized as Senior Citizens Month, and we know, especially here at the People's Cathedral, that our congregation is made up with so many of these precious jewels. And we thought it could only be fitting that we take some time to have conversations with some of our very own senior members that are amongst us. Now, I know for some of us, there's a song that says, somebody pray for me. But we know that we are here especially because of the prayers, the toiling in the word, and the encouragement of those precious jewels, our seniors, our spiritual mothers, our spiritual fathers. And we just want to take this moment to appreciate them. This evening, we have the privilege of having a conversation with the Dowdings. That's Ian and Mary Dowding. And then we got to hear from Sister Maria Foster. Now, let me let you know this now. This is part one. This is a two-part series, and I'm inviting you, God's Spirit Life, next week. We didn't even get to the end yet, but I'm inviting you next week to join us because this is a two-part series, and I want you to stick right to the end. I'll be back with you at the end, but for right now, I just want you to sit back, invite a friend, as we hear some of their testimonies, as we hear some of the things they had to do growing up, some of the trials that they had to face, but how they endured. And one thing that echoed true is that they're all grateful for the goodness of God. So join us as we have our community conversation, as we appreciate our precious jewels.
Yes, I can tell you that I'm Ian, and my wife is Mary, and she can tell you about when we met.
We met because we worked in the same place for many years. Well, we got married in 1964 on the 28th of February.
64.
Well, 29th, which is no day.
24, 24,
So
24.
we celebrated on the 28th.
That's about 68, 68? I don't know.
I met him at work because we worked together for many years, and then he was the one that made the first approach.
Well, I would tell you this. All that is past because that man died when I was 52 years old. I lost my old man. He died, so he can't say a word now. But I am now 35 years old, so I'm born again under the blood, and it's a different life altogether. I can tell you about my testimony if you like. Yeah. We had already come here and lived in this apartment. And it so happened that we had a thing of going up to America in
Like springtime.
Yeah, springtime.
Or April, May we
Right.
could go. And then again in November.
in Florida. And one day we were in this little town, very small, and there was only one shop. So Mary went shopping. So I went walking about. And at that time, I noticed that my newspaper was out here somewhere, and I couldn't read. So I said, I saw a fellow thing there, Thomas Trist, and so I went to him, and I have to get this as quick as I can. And after he dealt with me and gave me some glasses, I had to go to him and get them fitted. So I went to him, and he had a table about this size, that height, and he sat there, and I sat here, and he put them on, and he says to me, "Do you know Jesus?" I said, "Do I know Jesus?" He said, "Yeah." And then he gave me some talk about his born again spirit. And this is why I have this here. Because he gave me this book. And this book was 9 o'clock in the morning by Dennis Bennett. Dennis Bennett is from the west coast of America. We're in the middle of Florida. And as I read this thing, I came across the name of a gentleman that I was with him at university. And he was the Reverend Simon Barrington Ward. And he used to wake me up every Sunday morning and make me go into the chapel and so on. And when I realized that this gentleman, Dennis Bennett, was speaking to him, and he comes from way out west in the place. I'm in England, and he knew Simon Barrington Ward, and from there I came home. I read that book, lent it to somebody else, and then one day, as it happened, we were supposed to go out for lunch with Bert Toppin, but he phoned me and said he can't go to lunch. So by this time I knew him well, because every Wednesday we go and have lunch. So I said, "What's the problem?" He said, "Oh, I can't go because I'm going to church." So I said, "Well, you're going to pick me up then?" So I went, and that day was extraordinary, because there was a gentleman there, I think he was an Irishman, or I don't know really who he was, but I knew two people when I got in there. One was on the back, and the other one was a youngster. One I used to play golf with, and the other fella used to come and ask me for things, for cars, brochures and all that. So I said, "Well, at least I know two people." So when it came to we were invited up to this front. I was about 5 or 6 people apart from my friend. And when this fella came up toward me, and this is in the day, this is 12 o'clock or something, which is normally pretty hot, but a strange heat, which is obviously not anything to do with the weather. As he passed came to me. And I thought, what is this? He asked me if I wanted to pray for her, so I didn't know what to pray for, so he prayed anyhow. So that was the start. A little later then, we were going about 4 or 5 times a week to the church, reading Bible, listening to it at night, everything. And then one day, it was a Wednesday at 2. I received Jesus. Jesus came to me, and everything changed. A week after that, maybe a week and a half, we were here, and our habit was to have a couple of gins before supper. So this particular time, when you make this thing with gin and something else, I can't remember.
Martini.
Martini, right. So you put 2 things together, and then you put it in a thing and you stir it around. So it's the same for both. So I gave Mary one, and I took a taste of mine, and I said, "There's something wrong with it. Don't drink it." Well, you drank it, right?
I said there was nothing wrong with
And
it.
I said, "But it's
So
very,
you made another one.
that's very strange." I made another one? Yeah, okay. Same thing happened. So I thought, well, this is very strange. And then the next day, we decided, we had some friend, so we were going to have at lunch some champagne, which was in the fridge for about 10 years or something. So I opened it, put it out, and the same thing happened. And from that day, I never drank liquor. Liquor was my problem. Never felt to drink anything that was illegal. Nobody could entice me. It was just finished. And actually, not only did it just finish, a lot of other things fell. About 5 different things in my life fell completely away. Amen.
Well, Ian had been going to church regularly after that, but I wasn't going. And finally one day I said, one evening I said, okay, I'll come to church with you. So I went to church, and everything went well, and I enjoyed church and so on. And so I went back several times after that. And then one night, the pastor, he gave the call to whoever wanted to commit themselves to the Lord to come forward. And so I sat there, and I felt like my left arm, I'm right-handed, but my left arm seemed to want to move. And I thought, now calm down, Mary, don't get too excited. And so I did nothing, I sat there. But the next time we went to church, and they made the old call, before I could think, my left arm shot up in the air. I was out of the seat and halfway up the walkway before he had even finished speaking. And from then on, my life, over a period of time, just changed, you know. I was always a very friendly person with everybody, but gradually I came to love everybody. I have no hate in me at all. I just love people. I love everybody. I don't mind who you are, where you've come from. I love you. And from then on, I am at total peace with myself. Since, I've been shut in here for a week, but I haven't panicked. I have been relaxed, you know, gone about, done what I can, and that's it. And from then on, I've just been going to church, and I started going to Bible class, and then started to learn about the Bible and so on, which I really didn't know very much about. Because as a child we went to church, but we were the type that went to church for Christmas and those special days, you know, Good Friday and so on. But otherwise we didn't really go to church, although we had a pew at St. David's Church. So that is about my testimony. It's not that exciting as my husband's, but that's me.
Yes, the For Gospel Businessmen's Fellowship International, when I got born again, I heard about it. It was already going, but it had finished. They had a problem, and it went down. And then a gentleman, a Barbadian from Canada, came down back to Barbados, and he started it up again. We got about 4 or 5 of us, and we spent every week we would meet and pray for several hours or two before we started it, and then we started it, and it became huge. People were getting born again from the testimonies we gave. Once first Saturday, I think it was, every month we had a breakfast meeting, and there we would have testimony, and we would have people from all the place, from Canada, from America, sometimes would come and so on, people that were murderers, people that, all kinds of people, and they gave their testimonies, and it was very, very good. But it starts to get the same problem, and it fizzled down a bit, if not out. But I think they're still doing it again. But that was a good way to get the gospel around in Barbados. There's still some there doing that up to last week. I bumped into him and he was telling me about it. And actually sometimes, I meet somebody and they say, "Hey, wait, you're for gospel?" And I said, "Yes." He said, "Well, I remember you because it was because of you that I got saved." So we did a good job, and we used to do it then, and they don't do it now, I think. Before the breakfast on the Friday before, we would get together, a group, which we had a group who were in charge, and many times we would know what to happen next morning. We would get, and it was, and sometimes we didn't have anybody, and then the phone would ring and say, "Hello, I haven't been here for something," but I said, "Okay, I need you on Saturday. This is somebody," So somebody always turned up. I had cricket days, then I had golfing days, I had squash days, and I was an athlete really. But right now, I play a couple of times a week, and I don't play much, very well, I should say. But I still enjoy it because, you're meeting other people and so on. And one of the things actually in my life, from playing all the different things, you meet so many people from so many parts of the world, you know, it's amazing. And I have friends that have been friends with me for 65 years, you know, and we still talk to each other.
Went to Queen's College. That was when it was by the park, Queen's Park, and Combermere was next door. But first we played tennis there, and as well as netball. And then we moved on, and after I left school I continued with tennis and then got into squash, and I also became involved with the boats. We had a boat and we used to go fishing and so on, so I learned about that, and we would take people out for a fishing morning and so on and so forth. And then it was good because then they saw the way you were behaving as a newborn Christian. There was no liquor being served or anything like that. So it was good in a way that we were able to do that, you know. So those were good days, and you met many. And a lot of my friends that I was at school with actually are living here now in Rockley, that I went to school with. And you know, you grow up, you're very close then, and then you grow up and you grow away, and then you come back again together. And here we are all now. Well, I'm 91 and we're all here together. They're lots younger than me, much younger than me, 4 years younger than me or so. And we're here again together, and all of them go to church. But some go to the Catholic Church and some don't. Well, I went to the Catholic Church for a number of years because my children were brought up as Catholics. And so I took them to church and went. So I became involved with the Ursuline Convent and the sisters there and so on and so forth. That was a nice time. And on the morning I listened to all the programs that come on from 6 o'clock on. Joyce, she's the first one, comes on at 6. And then I listened to a lot of them until about 9 o'clock or so. And then I have to start the day's work.
Yeah. A week would be something like this. We always woke up early with the sun. We wake up, and then I will have something to drink, and I will go in my office there and shut the door. And I'll be there for an hour, 2 hours or so, depending. Then we would come up. By that time, Mary would have her breakfast. I would have my breakfast. Then it would depend on the day. Some days we go to have a coffee somewhere to meet somebody, or we would go for lunch. Some days we would have to go, of course, to the supermarket, and plenty of times now I've got to go to Louis's drugstore for your medications. And so, and of course they get to know me very well. And sometimes family will visit, or we will go to visit them. And got so many children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren.
Great-grandchildren.
How many great-grandchildren?
Well, good heavens. We have 2, 4.
I have a great-grandchild who's 8 months old.
8. I have 8 great-grands.
8 great-grands.
So it's a lot.
They're scattered around. Some are in America, some are in...
Yeah, some are in America. Some of the children. Well, my granddaughter, she has just gone to Florida to study at a college up there, and she's going to be doing engineering. And so we were anxious, but she seems to be settling in well. Who was teaching painting, and right now I can't remember the lady's name, but a group of us started there to learn. Actually, one of these sisters from the convent, she came and she was surprised to see me there, and I was surprised to see her there. And she was actually the headmistress, and she was learning to paint, and so was I. And then I kept on with it for a long time, and then the lady, she got ill and had to stop for a while, and then she started back, and then I wasn't well and I had to stop. And well, then I lost my balance, and that stopped everything going. But I paint at home. Every now and again I get in the mood and I paint. And I have them all over. I have a whole stack up in a cupboard that I have painted. But it's something, keeps you busy. Because I used to sew a lot. I used to make all of my clothes. And I used to do fancy work. I used to do fancy work for a shop that sold to the tourists. And there were all these little things that they liked, and they would print it out and give me the dress, and I would embroider it.
And you was an auctioneer.
I did that, and yes, I became an auctioneer in my late life. And I auctioned many a thing, and every now and again I meet somebody, and it's amazing that they remember me. I was having lunch at the hotel, Courtyard Hotel, here in Hastings, and Hastings, Worthing. Yeah. And as I came out, there was a guy who had been sitting in the bench outside when we went in. And when they came out, the manager was out there talking with him. So we stopped to have a word with the manager, and he was asking if we had enjoyed our lunch and so on. And then this guy said to me, he said, "But I know you were an auctioneer, weren't you?" I said, "Yes, but that's many years ago." He said, "But I used to love coming to those auctions." And he remembered me, and he said, "All the nice old antique furniture." Well, nobody worries with that these days. I think I'm the only one that has any antique furniture, because I kept quite a few, because that's what I like. But all now are modern stuff. But I became an auctioneer, and but we met so many people then from all over the place. I was saying, "Mommy, you talk to everybody," and I don't know, but I do. I'm in the waiting in the bank, and this guy is there, and suddenly I see these police or whatever coming, and big guns and things. So I know what's going on, but I say to him, because I can't help talking, I say to him, "What is going on? Are we going to be held up?" He says, "No, you don't have to worry. They're coming to either bring in money or take out money." So we get talking about things that are going on in the island, and what's going on with the crime and this and that and the other. And so he ends up by telling me that he likes me, and if he saw me in trouble anywhere, he would come to my assistance. And I said to him, "Well, that's very nice of you, but you must come to everybody's assistance, whether you know them or talk to them. Because this morning, if I'd gotten it, something happened, somebody was snatched my handbag or something, you would have seen, but because you hadn't talked to me, maybe you wouldn't have worried with me. But you see, you have to go and help everybody because you never know. Now you've talked to me. You say you would help me anytime you saw me in trouble. So I said, and then you tell them about the Lord and so on and so forth. And sometimes you ask them if to go to church, and maybe they do or maybe they don't, and so on. And in line at the supermarket, I see this great big guy in front of me, and he goes and picks up a newspaper. So I have to say to him, so you're taking that home to read all the bad news? And we get talking, and the next thing I find out, he's a big policeman in the police force, and he is telling me all about the riots which happened some time ago. When the prison, they took over the prison, that riot. He was telling me all about them and so on and so forth. So I talked to everybody.
One of the things that I had a revelation of was Jesus said that we can have what we say if we say in faith. And I have noticed that everybody around me is always saying what they have. So they say what they have. So they're having what they have, they say. So I think that is something that anybody should be careful on. Your mouth. You have to see. Jesus says that you can have what you say. So I find that has worked for me tremendously in my health. I don't take any pills at all for any. I have no prescription for anything, and I put it down to the fact that that verse, I keep that in time all the time, and I keep in mind all the time that that I am the righteousness of God in Christ, and as He is, so am I in this world. I have the mind of Christ, and the wisdom of God is formed within me. So I am blessed, and I think everybody else should be blessed too.
Well, I think I am blessed because I now know the Lord, and I have a completely different view on life than I had before. And I just enjoy my days of my life and so on, and it's all since I gave my life to the Lord and came to know Him. And you don't know Him today and not tomorrow, or this morning and not this afternoon. You know Him all the time, regardless of what's going on in your life, which can change from day to day. So I praise the Lord, and I thank Him daily for all that He's done for me and all that He may do for me. I was just in hospital for 4 days. I had to have blood transfusions and whatnot. But He brought me through it without any problem. I had nice nurses and help to take care of me while I was there. So I'm blessed, I feel.
Yes, as I was saying, when I was in Lewis, Mark, I had a growth coming right up here somewhere. And I asked him, what do you think that is? He said it was, a cancerous thing. And he told me, watch it for a week and come back to me and I tell you what to do and who to go to. So I forgot about it, and then one day I noticed it, and I said to it, it was coming up all the way here, I said it to come out from the root in the name of Jesus. And the next thing I knew, a day or two later, it not only moved, but I can't find where it was. It didn't leave anything. And I tell you, Jesus is wherever He is, there's healing. Everywhere, anywhere that He's healing, there is healing.
My name is Marion Elaine Foster, formerly known as Warner. Anytime I hear anyone say Elaine, I know it before I came in the People's Cathedral. And since my first name on the form for People's Cathedral was Marion, then I know these are people I met from the church. Right. I would say I was a Christian from childhood, raised up in different churches. I went to with my parents and with my sisters and brothers. But then in 1981, I had an experience that was not very good at all. And that night, on this very couch here, I was at work at the time, I thought, dear God, I don't know what to do. Please help me. And I hear plain as day, called Gloria. That was my husband's sister. It's all past 11 o'clock, and I said, she might be sleeping, but I called her. She says, Elaine, I don't know what you're going through. I had a terrible time too, but I found a church that really showed me the way that I could get help I needed. I'll come and get you Sunday, and I can take you to church. So she came on the Sunday and got me to this church. And the gentleman was preaching very good and everything, and then all of a sudden he said, come and give your life to Jesus. I said, you don't need me? Because I don't miss my Sunday morning service. No, I don't miss my Bible class. And I hear plain as day, but you're not saved. And all of a sudden I felt as though somebody had put their two hands on my armpits and lifted me up. And it was like a stadium setting and took me down to go to the altar. And when it started going down, I started crying. I didn't know what was happening, but I just felt this sort of emotion hit me and I started crying. So when I got down to the altar and knelt down, I was still crying. And this gentleman prayed, can't remember his name to this day. He prayed until he got to me. And then he put his hand on my head. And whatever he said, like went into my spirit. And then after a while, these two ladies came and got me and took me back to my seat. But I knew that it was a different feeling, and like all the heaviness had left me. So that time I was still in America, so I came home then late November into December. And the same girl that took me to the church, she had come home before me to spend Christmas in Barbados. So she told my husband, now your wife is a born-again Christian, and she carried on and tell him all this thing. So when he came home, he was ready for me. I says, I hear you're born again. I said, I believe so too. But for some reason he could handle this thing. And then I used to go to Bethel Methodist Church. So I went to church Sunday morning, and the pastor, my brother-in-law, he preached. He did a good sermon, but I still didn't feel right. I still didn't feel settled. And that week, the next morning, it's Sunday, and I heard his voice, go to that church on the hill this morning. So I could only think of People's Cathedral, because when I going down the hill, I would see all these young ladies and young people, I should say, dressing coming up. I said, where these young people going? You don't see young people going to church like this. So this must be the place. So Aunt Toppin, she used to come to the store. And she told her husband one day, that lady at the store, she's a nice lady, but she ain't saved. He said, what made you say that? She said, she just offered me a raffle ticket from her church. And I tell her, that's against my teaching. We don't do raffles. And Nanny said, let's put on our prayer list. And they started praying for me. So I called Anne that morning, Sunday, and said, Annie came by your church today. And I thought she'd be looking for me. So every minute I get from the seat, I went in, like the middle door, and sat a few seats in. And I didn't see her, so I said she might be looking for me. About 3 times I got up and went looking by the door. I didn't see Anne. So the Spirit said, sit down, rest. And after the service, then she came over to me. I said, Anne, I keep looking for you, I didn't see you. She said, you keep getting up. I didn't understand what was happening. So from that morning then, Pastor Williams preached that morning, and he preached about David and Goliath. And I felt very comfortable. So I figured this is where I'm supposed to go. And I keep going to that church. And then people go in the store and tell my husband all kinds of things. And you don't want me in that church. You don't want me in that church. And he came down real bad. So from one day to the other, I said, I don't want to get into trouble. Because if he hit me and it fall and hit my head, then it was he kill his wife. I said, I gotta find some place to go. So this morning I get in the car, and I saw these 2 ladies at the bus stop. And the Spirit tell me, they're on the way to church. Said, and I stopped and I said, is you all ready for church? I see. So you want to lift down? And they got in. Once in the front seat, once in the back. So when we get to People's Cathedral, one lady said, let me off here, please. And when she got up, I said to the other lady, that's my church, you know, but I ain't going there this morning. So she said, so we're going. I said, well, girl, my head's out, I don't even know. She said, well, come with me. And then I said, so where are you going? She said, River Road. So he stopped up at River Road, and I said, that church. So I came home now, and I told him how I found another church. They preached real good. And next Sunday morning, they dress and they go to church with me. He come to church, he studied, stayed for Sunday school and everything. And then I came home and I said, I'll go on next Sunday. Next Sunday he went too. So I figured, well, good. I get him to go to church now. And this will be a good place. But then that lady did 2 things that let me know she wasn't saved. And I decided I ain't going back to that church anymore. So I said to him, look, Wesley, Sunday is Mother's Day. And I'm going to church of my choice. He said, so where is that? I said, People's Cathedral. They said another word. So all of a sudden I heard, remember I sent you here? Just like that. And then I start coming to church, liking the services. And then in a few months after, I hear Ferdy say, they're going to do water baptism. So I said, okay, I want water baptism. And that morning, Pastor Colonel and Pastor Williams baptized myself and Angela, my last girl. So that when they went back home, she sent back the picture to me with Daddy and Bridget baptism. And so I kept on going, and things were very difficult for me. I said to my mother, I said, this daughter of yours here, because before whatever he told me to do, I would do it. Mama said, Daddy is her husband, Wes is mine. She obey her husband, I obey my husband. So this was now the first time that he met a resistance from me. He said, this daughter of yours, I tell her, I had the same Bible too in my hand. He said, this same daughter of yours, I tell her I don't want her in that church with those people, and she wouldn't stop it. So my mama said, Elaine, that Bible you have in your hand tell you, wives obey your husbands. And straight away the Holy Spirit missed me. I said, Mama, when I live in America, how did my man not bring the mail to you? She said, because I have my address on it. I said, well, that word that you tell me is in this Bible, yes. But it was written to the people of Ephesus who worship the goddess Diana. And Paul came to the region preaching and teaching the word. And they had turned from Diana and now worship the true and living God. And the pastor was telling them, your wife, your husband will learn the lesson, and when you come home, the husband teach you, wives obey your husbands. This was written to anybody. This was written to these people that had become saved. She said, well, you know, I never thought about it like that. And when she said that, he got right up and walked down the stairs and walked out. He in front, Mama behind, she sat down in her chair, and I behind him. And he came back home. So we had more discourse on it. And then I lived to see, many days after, my sister was one from New York. And we were supposed to go to JB's. So I told Mama, you have to dress, Mama, and or come with us, because you can't leave in your house alone. My two sisters, Beryl and Boy. So when they get to the door, this is, Mama said, she's not leaving here today. I said, okay, I'll talk to her. So I went upstairs to her. I said, Mama, what's happening? She said, they're telling me when to come and when to go. I'm not letting them tell me what to do. I said, but Mama, you can't stay in the house. We got to take you with us. So, you gonna let me dress you now? She said, okay. So I dressed her and we got downstairs. And when we get by the table, before you get to the door, I said, Mama, you realize that the devil run shot over you and your daughters in his house this morning? She said, yes, because she was still very agitated. I said, but you're raised us like that, you raised us to be peaceful. So you're going to ask the Lord to help you and your daughters right now? And she said, yeah, I'll do that. I said, well, I'm going to ask the Lord to give me a prayer for me and one for you. You're going to repeat with me? She said, yes. And what the Spirit told me that morning, I told her. And she held me. She says, oh, I'm so glad you came. I'm so glad you came. I'm so glad you came. I said, good, I'm glad I came too. You know, let's go now? She said, yes. So she went in front seat with me and my two sisters in the back. And all the way got the road like a broken record. I'm so glad you came. She had found some kind of peace. And you know, from that morning, they had no trouble with my mama. Yeah. As over the years go through though, he had the knees operated on, as you know. And then he was now hitting now in the 90s. And his health was leaving him, and I could see he was deteriorating. So So I tell me praying to God, I said, Lord, I don't want this man dead, I want him saved. I know he's dead, but I want him saved. So then after then, they had, the nurses would come, and it was had a particular nurse that she took over the house. Whatever she said, that was it. So he didn't want nothing I cook, nothing I eat, nothing I prepare for him. And then Martha would have to cook for him. His mind had completely turned away from me. After the nurse had gone, and she gonna come like the next day. You'll be on the couch in the lounge. And I said, yes, well, and I hear Elaine. She called my name. Elaine. And the surgeons would go to him now. So I got up and I went to him. I said, Wes, what can I do for you? He said, girl, I feel so bad. I don't know what's happening to me. I can't tell what's happening to me. And he's very agitated and his hand moving. I said, Wes, you see that ring you have on your finger? He had two. And when he had lost one because he was much weight, and I found it and hid it. So the other one he had on now. I said, you see that ring you have on your finger? The spirits that rule those rings rule from a young man and destroy your life. And as long as you let those spirits govern your life, you can never feel better nor get better. And he took it off and put it in my hand. And as soon as he did that, the Lord said, minister him right now. I said, ready? You can give your life to the Lord now and ask God to help you and heal you? He said, yes. So he said the words I told him. And then, usually when they do that, I would tell anybody, the first person you see, tell him you give your life to Christ. But the Lord didn't let me do that. He said, make an affirmation. Satan, he said, Satan, you have no more part or parcel with me. I belong to Jesus Christ. And when he said that, he did so. I went back in the chair, in the couch with it. And he fell asleep. That would be Thursday evening. Friday, but still he was so weak that no matter what he had to do, he needed two people to help him to get to the bathroom or to the bed. So that was Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday morning, I would give him our drops before I go down to church. And each Sunday he would say, what day is it? And I say, it's Sunday, and I give him for church. So then he I drops on the bed. And he would stay there and I would leave him down. But when I went to the door, he was sitting on the bed, sitting up. I said, Lord God, you fall off the bed. To myself, you know. I said, you don't lay back down. I said, do the best I can get the drop. So I dropped the drops to his eyes. And again he asked me what day is it. I said, Sunday. And I'm going off to church. And I see when they come back. So when they come back from church, I saw Marcia at the door. I said, something happened. And when they come, I said, Mama, come see this. He had died, and had him cover over. But it brought me to a peace to know that he was my assignment. When the Lord let me marry him, he was my assignment. But he was a good man, hard-working man. Every good thing that you could think about, he would get for us, me and the children. But he had a force behind him that he could not control, that controlled him. And the Lord released him from that. But that church has been my saving grace. Yeah.
So we're going to take a pause right here in this conversation and continue Sister Maria's testimony. I know it may have seemed like a hard one, but we don't know what everyone is going through. We don't know what so many of our seniors have had to go through, those that are still with us and those that have passed on. But one thing is that they're echoing that God has kept them. And Sister Maria has a lot more to share with us. But once again, I want you to join us next week right here, back on our YouTube, Facebook, our website, as we continue that conversation with Sister Marion, and she shares a little bit more about her life and how God continues to bless her. And it won't only just be Sister Marion next week, but you have to join next week to see who else we had a conversation with. You're going to get to hear from another one of our members, but then we're going to hear from a very special group who takes the time to make sure that our seniors are in good hands. So I hope that you enjoyed this conversation so far. If you haven't already, make sure that you subscribe to our YouTube page, make sure you like our Facebook page, and just stay connected with us because we have so much more that we have coming up for you. But once again, I hope you enjoyed. This is another community conversation, and part 2 concludes next week. But for right now, have a good night.